What's up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How was your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going.
Woo!
Yay.
Yay. Come on, get pumped up. You guys. So let's talk about the podcast before the podcast. So we're sitting here.
Our production meeting.
It's Saturday night.
We need one of those trampolines like Tony Robbins has before he goes on stage.
Right? Yes. And we just got back from a baby shower. So my cousin Teresa is going to be a grandmother for the third time. So congratulations, Teresa. Had a whole bunch of fun there.
Now.
And man, it's like, listen, when you get older, I think it's just with age, you know, like you feel the difference in your energy. Because I was like the Energizer Bunny.
You know why?
Because we old.
That's why.
You old.
No.
Because we old. No, but seriously, like you do feel the difference, you know?
Yeah.
And so before the podcast, you guys, I am like, I need to make some coffee. And I make the coffee so strong.
Dude, I already have one droopy eye. Like, it was probably already shut. Like, I was ready to fall asleep, take a nap. It's like, no, we got a podcast to record.
So I'm over here like, you know,
you made this nasty
like,
ass
I'm just
coffee.
Like trying to get myself all pumped up, right? Get my mind right for you guys. And I make me this shitty ass coffee, which is probably gonna make me shit my pants.
Right.
And Miguel, right before, I'm like, hey, would you like a sip? And he's like, sure. But as you can see, he's drinking a Coors Light. So mix caffeine with some beer, and you're asking for it. You're asking for it.
Whatever gets the job done.
Right. So, but that's, you know, the difference too. You know, I appreciate having you as a co-host, because with me, it would be if it was just like a solo podcast, it'd be very difficult. I'll be like, we're recording Sunday morning. It's Saturday. I would make so many excuses not to record.
Dude, the things that I've done when I felt like shit. Well, actually, you know what? That is something you get out of the military. Like, you just get, I mean, you're young, you're partying, you get fucked up, and then you have to go to work the next day.
Oh, that's not the military. I remember going to work drunk, but feeling, you know, like it's like, hey, but when you're younger, your body recovers so much faster. It doesn't hit you the way it hits us now.
We drink a little bit and it's like we're done for the rest of the weekend.
No, I do not want to be hungover. I don't.
Yeah,
my cousin was all hungover today, Teresa's sister. And I'm like, you won't catch me slipping like that. I just
not
can't.
Anymore.
I can't hang, and I do not want to feel the aftermath. I do not want to feel hungover. It's not fun. And it's like a wasted day. So it's like, no, thank you. But when it comes to other, you know, like having self-discipline equals freedom in every part of your life. No, it really, really does.
Yeah.
You know, because I started going to a new gym. So Knockout Fitness, love it. It's boxing, kickboxing. It's hardcore. It's like the PX90, right? Like she does.
P90X,
or there you go.
It's like
she
intense.
does. It is. It's like you're doing mountain climbers. You're doing burpees, and it's fast paced.
Yeah.
And so I'm building a new habit. First of all, at getting up again at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah. Not
only that, but getting back into the gym. So
you've been doing good too.
Yeah. And I'm proud of myself because I have been doing good. I've been waking up, getting there on time. And the first 2 weeks, it was difficult because they had to wrap my hands, right? In order to put the gloves on. Well, the class starts at 6:15.
Yeah.
And I was getting there at 6:15. And so I was holding up the class, because she would have to pause and they would have to do their own thing.
They have to
and
wait.
She would have to come wrap me. Yeah. And it started my third, fourth, like I've kept trying to get up earlier and earlier, but I kept getting there at the same time. And finally, it's like, I can't do this to the people in the class.
Yeah.
You know, it's not fair. And when I looked at it that way, I was like up at it and there at 6:05.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to do that to the class.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out a way to motivate myself to get up earlier so that I can get there on time. And I wouldn't do it for myself. Do you understand?
Yeah. You're doing it because you don't want to leave everybody else waiting.
Right.
Waiting for you.
And so I found a way to trick myself, kind of.
I
but
think a lot of people do that. Like
yes.
a lot of people would do that more because of other people, or we do things a lot more because of other people than we do for ourselves.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And so, yeah, it's been going great, but it's just funny how I realized that, like, I was like, this is not feeling right, because the class is having to wait. So I need to make a change and make sure that I get there early so they can wrap me so that I don't interrupt the class.
Yeah. Do you think that, like, because you said you're kind of building this routine now and you're getting back into the gym, which is something that I have to do because I haven't been going to the gym, working out. I haven't been doing anything at all in the last few months, And do you think that's something that comes in cycles, or how do you, because
what, getting on, how I get off track?
Being on track, because there's one thing, like, I noticed, I mean, it's been a while for me. And, I've been telling you lately, like, I just feel like shit a lot of times, and it's just like not motivated. And it seems like when you're on it, it's like with everything almost. It's like you have, what I think it is, getting into a funk. It's because you know what you're capable of and what you should be doing and what you could have already been doing.
Yes.
Because maybe you've done it before, or like I said, you know what you're capable of. And I think, it's just getting back into it.
It is.
Getting out of that fucking
And you know
funk.
what gets me so upset with myself?
What's that?
Is that, you know how much weight I've lost over the years? Like, you add it all up, because
it's like a whole nother person.
Up and down, up and down, up and down. And it's like, Sonia, it's so much easier if you just stay consistent. Like, do the thing that you need to do. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, when you and I make a decision together to be healthier, to work out together, that's when things happen. This time around, I had to make the decision on my own for myself because you were not ready yet.
No.
But I knew how I was feeling, and I felt unbalanced. And that's when I saw everything kind of tipping, right?
Yeah.
And that's when I had to make a decision. Like, he's not ready yet, but you need to do this because you are going down this path and you're not feeling yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to do it. And it's very difficult. I was just going to talk about this right now because I started eating healthy, right? I started focusing on not eating late at night. I started, I was fasting for 3 days. But when I have you by my side, eating the things you want to eat, it's harder for me. It's harder. So I'll ask you, I'll take a bite or two. But I won't I won't serve me a bowl of ice cream, but I'll take a bite or two of yours, which still makes me feel good because I'm not eating an entire bowl of ice cream.
And that's okay.
And that's the thing too. Like, it is okay. And
it just keeps me fat.
But the thing of it is that I think we take it overboard. And that's why it's so hard just to stay on the path, because it's like, okay, well, I'm going to get into shape. And we go from eating carbs to 0 carbs versus carbs to, okay, now I'm eating strawberries, I'm eating blueberries, I'm allowing myself to have some of those carbs.
Yeah.
And before, we just went cold turkey from carbs to 0 carbs, and we did great for a while, but to sustain that is very difficult. Like, the keto diet, to stay on that, to stay on any diet is very difficult because there's not a balance.
That's why when I was talking to Coach, he was like, it's like a lifestyle.
Yes.
He just changes the way he lives now. Like, that's just, he doesn't eat certain things, and that's just how he is. Like, it's not a diet.
Right.
But
the point is that, like, if you are, in a relationship, it's so much easier when you guys make a decision together and run with it. right? Yeah. Because when I have you on my side and we're doing things together, I feel more empowered. You know, and when I see you going off track, like I got your back. When you see me going off track, it's like, hey, what's up? You know, what's going on?
Yeah.
Kind of deal in a loving manner, obviously. But that's with everything. That's with finance. That's with parenting. You know, that's with health. It's everything. When you guys make a decision together and you work together, support each other, it makes it so much funner, right? It's fun to be able to do things together and work on it together. And then to reach those goals together will strengthen the relationship.
Yeah. Definitely.
You know, and people have asked me, like with you and I, because we are so opposite. There's so many things. You know, I'm spiritual. I believe in God. I believe in energy. I believe that we are one, you know, and you are.
Don't.
And you don't, but you believe, like you love the whole nature. That I do, right? But we have so
but it's
much.
Not spiritual.
You know, I say the sky's blue. Miguel says it's red. It's like, you know, oh my God.
No, whatever, bro.
I'm kidding. But the main, like the foundation. Yeah. Our foundation, how we parent.
The finances.
And even when we decide this isn't working, we need to look into, you know, doing this.
Or learning something new. Or,
yes. Like we're in this together to learn, right? We both know that we can continue to grow and that we make mistakes and, you know, there's a give and take. But our foundation of parenting, finances, right? Our
marriage,
all of it, like are strong.
The real important stuff, yeah.
Yes.
It's all similar. We all think the same way.
Yes, yes. And it wasn't always this way. Like we had to work up to where we are. I mean, for the most part.
And you have to be open. You have to be open and mindful to different things and changing your opinion. And, you know, that's just part of growing.
Right. Yes. So, no, it's a journey. Being married, being in a relationship, it's a journey. And there tends to be, we all go through challenging times.
Yeah.
We all go through struggles. And you will be able to define your relationship on those specific times. Like when things get tough, are we going to stick to this together? Are we going to come together and support each other and be there for each other to overcome the struggle? Or are we going to point fingers and say, well, this is what you did to cause this?
Yeah, you shouldn't have did that.
Right.
Yeah.
And taking responsibility for when you are wrong and saying, you know what? I made a mistake.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. You know, and a lot of it is give and take, and it's listening and communicating. But, you know, I bring this up because I was talking to one of my friends who's been in a relationship for quite some time, and they're going through some really difficult times right now. And it's funny when you're not in the situation, when you're the person on the outside looking in, it's like you can see everything that's happening, at least with me.
Yeah.
And it's probably because you and I have gone
detached.
through some things, right? Yeah. Like we've gone through some things. And when you listen to the conversation of what's happening, it's the lack of communication. A lot of times it's the lack of communication and the way you're communicating. Because so many of us are so quick to speak and not to listen. Like really, really listen.
Or thinking about what we're going to say when you're supposed to be listening.
Right.
Which I think, I mean, I do that too. We do that all the time. It's just something that you got to get into a habit of not doing.
Yeah. So today, earlier within the day, we had plans on recording the podcast. And we had a lot of things going on today. We had a birthday party for Joey. We had to drop Joey off. We had a baby shower. You know, it was just, and then we have to record 2 podcasts. So you were feeling the stress of everything that had to take place. And then not only that, but our niece, last minute told us that she was going to be meeting us here at the house before the baby shower, and that she was on her way. So it's like we had to get this podcast recorded fast, right? But there was so much we had to talk about everything prior to recording, and you were just getting stressed out because of it.
Yeah.
And we ended up not recording right then and there. And I understand why you were feeling the stress, because you're the one who does the editing. You're the one who, I mean, you do all the things that are not fun, that need to be done in order for the podcast to come out, which takes a lot of time. But during our conversation, you were like all upset. And, you know, I told you, I'm like, hey, it's okay. There's nothing that we can do. I don't remember exactly what I told you, but I told you it's not that serious.
Yeah.
And you told me, thanks for your help. And I didn't think about it at that moment of how I responded, but it was serious. It was that serious to you.
Yeah.
Because of everything that, you know, the time, the limit, the time that you need in order to get this podcast out. And my response was not great. It wasn't good, because for me, it may not be, you know, that important to me, but for you it is. So for me to say, well, it's not that important, is kind of like a douche thing to say. So I'm sorry, you know, for reacting the way I reacted, because I know your personality is like, I want to get this done and I want to get it done now. And me, it's like, we have another day. Like, it's okay.
It only takes an hour to record.
Right. You know, but it's everything else that comes, you know, after that. But at that time, I didn't take the time to realize why it was, you know, stressing you out, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't cool for me to respond that way.
Not only that, but people vent.
Mm-hmm.
People vent sometimes. You get frustrated when things are happening,
mm-hmm.
and people want to let it out. It's like, what the fuck? You'd blow your fucking brains out if you had to hold everything in all the time. You got to let it go. But it doesn't help when you're trying to let it go. And it's like, hey, it's not that serious. It's like, you know what? In that moment, I know, but in that moment, I actually don't need anything. I don't need a response. I don't need input. I'm just fucking trying to get it out.
But I'm not a mind reader either. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have responded the way I responded.
I'm just saying in general, like that is a thing. People need to vent.
And it's also knowing the different personalities that are involved in the disagreement, because that is my personality. My personality is like, hey, it's cool. Like, we'll make it happen. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, there's sunshine outside and it's a beautiful day. Like, get over it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Sunshine and rainbows and woo, you know, but that's my personality. So when you're trying to come at me with the situation where you're feeling stressed out and you're coming at me and I'm like, hey, like, it's okay. That's my personality. Yeah. But you and I, during the heat of the moment, I'm like, dude, it's not that serious. And you're like, thanks for your help. And I could have came at you, but I didn't. I'm like, okay, like, I'm just going to go upstairs with my happy self and do my deal because he needs to woosah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what I did. But I wanted to apologize to you because I shouldn't have responded the way I responded.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, babe.
But it's just being aware. Right. It's like knowing, you know, your partner and their personality and just not letting the little things like interfere. I don't know if that's a thing, babe.
It's the same thing as driving. Like, I don't know if that's just something that women don't understand.
Well, we are different, baby.
If it's with the drive, because it's the same exact thing. You know, like if I'm driving and somebody's pissing me off, like I get frustrated in that moment, but I don't need input from anybody. I'm just letting it go. You know what I mean? It's the same exact thing. It's just being frustrated. And when you're venting, like I'm not looking for you to solve my problem. I'm just fucking frustrated because there's nothing I can do about this shit that's happening right now.
Yeah.
You know, and I just want to let it go. Mm-hmm. But then it's like, hey, fucking take it. Yay. Don't worry. You know, and it's like, you want to fucking snap. And maybe we have anger. Maybe I have an anger issue, or maybe that's just fucking men.
You got some.
I don't think so.
It's not all men.
I don't think so.
It's not all men. If you are a man watching this podcast right now, go to and press 1 if you agree.
You're a dork. We're going to make a poll.
No, we are.
Not a stripper poll, but like a poll on Facebook.
But, it all takes work. Yeah. Everything. Even our relationship, with our children.
There's something else that we were doing something. I can't remember what it was. But there was something with Joey. Oh, what the heck was it? I can't remember exactly. But we were talking about something. And I was going to say something to you, but then I was just kind of like, what's the fucking point? Why even say anything? Because the only...
Were you going to start talking shit or what?
Pretty much.
My son's got my back.
It was two separate situations. Because I think you said something to Joey that probably didn't need to be said. And then you guys had a problem. But then it was the same thing with me. It became like where he was saying something to you. You said something to him. And it's like, hey, no, you go and whatever. But it was just something that I don't know if it
forget
needed
about
to be said.
Because you don't remember what you're talking about.
There was something that I was going to say, but then I just kind of thought about it and I'm like, what is the best thing that's going to happen if I say this? Like, you're going to probably come back at me with something, whatever. And then I'm going to fucking maybe say something. I was like, fuck it. Like, there's no point in even saying anything.
Well, that's the thing is, it's before speaking, right? Especially when it's in the heat of the moment. Like you're in a huge argument, right? Or a disagreement, whatever it is. A lot of times, we say things to hurt the other person, not even thinking about how that's going to affect the other person, right? Yeah. Because once it's said, you can't take that back.
Yeah.
And that seed was just planted, whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
And with you, I've noticed, and with myself, like today, I could have snapped at you when you said that, but I didn't.
Babe, why don't you understand that you just shouldn't have said anything?
But I just said.
You know what I mean? Instead of you could have snapped at me. No, you could have just not said anything.
Well, I didn't though. I went upstairs.
No, you said, what did you say first?
Oh, it's not a big deal.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but it's not a big deal.
See?
It's not like...
See?
Do you see what I'm saying?
See?
I'm not
No, do you see what I'm saying? Do you guys see what I'm saying?
That's what I said. But I'm saying what I said. It's not a big deal. And then you just fucking
Say it one more time. Say it one more time. I'm going to fucking lose my mind.
It's really not a big deal. Like, it just isn't, But if you want to fucking have a cow, then I'm going to take my little happy ass upstairs and put my music on and be me, you know? But
play your little bowl. Fucking Miguel's tripping downstairs bar and he fucking sit.
But could you imagine?
I'm fucking losing my mind, Sonis.
Yes. But you got to know yourself, But anyways, it's just, the communication is so key in a relationship, but it's communicating from love and from respect because, in the heat of the moment, like I said, some hurtful things will be said and you can't take those things back.
Well, and I think that's something we've talked about in the past, but we haven't talked about it a lot recently. Excuse me. But something that we've done over the years or that we haven't done is we haven't really crossed that line. There's been maybe a couple times where we slip up and say or call each other something.
Right.
But it's not like anything fucking crazy.
Right.
Or saying like those things that are just
like you've
super
never
hurtful.
Right, yeah.
It's like
we've never disrespected each other.
Or said something to deliberately like try to hurt the other person.
Right.
Like we may be arguing about something and it's like, yeah, well, if you don't this and that, but it's not like I'm going to say this because I know you're just like, your mom or, that's like the typical fucking when couples fight. That's why you're going to be like your dad or some shit,
Oh
right?
my God.
That kind of stuff. But we never it never gets like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
For sure. But what I was saying is like even with, the kids, like speaking to the kids, being in, the heat of the moment and saying something that you'll regret, later on. It's like, think before you speak.
Yep.
And these kids, we have a 10, 12 and a 16-year-old, and sometimes they can say some shit.
Yeah.
And you're like,
what the hell?
Excuse me? What did you just say?
Yeah.
So
speaking of the kids, we just had Michaela come and visit for a little while.
Yes.
So she went back this week, and Michaela's our oldest daughter.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter with my ex, and my ex, we were never married, but we had a kid, and that relationship's been pretty tough over the years, and we haven't really ever got into much of it on this podcast, just more than anything because of her.
The respect from Michaela.
Yeah, because of my daughter, and I didn't want to be talking about things that were happening
with her mother.
Yeah, with the relationship and everything, but things have like completely changed over the last few visits.
So let me share this, because when you and I first met.
Yeah.
First of all, I had a list.
Like a checklist?
I had a checklist. And on that checklist, it was never date a man who has a kid.
Yeah.
And you came with a kid. But
still got your ass.
But I didn't know what was on the other side, because she lived in a different state. So I figured, well, if the mom lives in a different state, then I'm okay. Like, it's not going to be that bad.
Yeah, it was.
Needless
it was
to
a nightmare.
say, it's been very, very challenging. And I told Miguel, I'm like, you're so lucky that I fell in love with you. Because if not, I probably would have said bye a long time ago. Like it has been very stressful. Yeah. If you are in this type of situation, you understand 100% of where I'm coming from.
So it got to the point where, like, I couldn't even deal with my ex. Like, I couldn't talk to her at all. We were talking about this a little bit on the last podcast, and I didn't explain it very well. But when I was saying that, like, Sonja took care of like 95% of everything that, that happened with that. I mean, what that means, like, all the court stuff that had to be filed, the paperwork that was written, like, Sonja did the majority of that.
Talking to her.
Dealing with my ex, talking to her, making arrangements and everything else. Finding process servers and not detectives, but investigators.
Private investigators.
All that stuff. I mean, like that kind of stuff, we would look up things together. But when it came to dealing with her and a lot of the other things, it was like I said, 95% Sonja.
Yeah. And it was just, the thing of it is that the story is, she left out of state, and we were fighting to see Michaela, his daughter. And I remember walking into the office at the old house, and I saw you crying, and you were looking at pictures of Michaela.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling just so bad about it. And that's when we made a decision that we were going to fight to see her, no matter how much it cost.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is that we live in a broken justice system. And I was a paralegal for 8 years. I've seen it. I lived it. But I wasn't really in it until you and I met.
Yeah.
And then I was personally involved in the situation.
And then
to witness it, to see it, to be there as a witness, to speak. And they always take the side of the mothers a lot of times.
And also the way the system is set up in favor of the person that has the child.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And, that's something that we had no clue about, like how the justice system worked in that sense. But also when you have to go to court with somebody that has figured out how the justice system works, that's a fucking problem.
Right. Yeah.
Like when they figure out, like, oh, well, they have to serve me. And, oh, well, they can just go to court if I don't want them to do that, or I'm not going to comply with this. And if they don't do it, or if they want me to do it, they can just take me to court, which is going to cost more money and all that. So when they figure out how to play the game, it just makes it a nightmare.
Yes. But she just didn't realize that Miguel was with the fighter and that I was going to fight. I was going to fight for you. Like we were going to fight, to get our visitation, to do what we had to do. And we did, and it unfolded. It took a lot of time for it to unfold.
Well, the thing is that
even when it does unfold, like you said, if they don't abide by the court order, it's our job. We have to take a stand. We have to file. We have to get us served. We got, and it's just over and over again, because that's what it was. Every time it was time for us to see her, your daughter, it was a fight.
Yeah. And then also because things were the way they were, she had a lot of influence from
her mother,
her mom, and, her family. And I don't know exactly what they said, but I know that it wasn't all positive.
No.
So it made the relationship very difficult when she came here.
Very one-sided.
But over the last few, like, I think it's one of those things kind of like we've talked about in the past. Like, there's only so much that you can say to a kid for so long before they start to figure out the truth for themselves.
That's right. I mean, okay, so let's not get off subject, right? We got to get back to where we are, but you were in a similar situation just a bit.
Yeah.
And as a child, because I know that your mom would go pick you up on weekends or whenever she could, right?
Yeah.
Were you in a similar situation? And if so, how?
So
how long did it take you to realize? Like, can you share a little bit?
So when I was a kid, I mean, like I said, I grew up with my dad. So, and it's just like every story. You get told one side of the story, then there's the other side of the story, and then the truth is somewhere in the middle, And, but when I was growing up with my dad, like, he would always tell me that I was the most important thing in the world. You mean the world to me, and it's like pretty much us against the world. And as a little boy, like that's all you need. At least that's the way I saw it, because I think most boys, most kids, now that I think about it, it's crazy. Because we have Joey, and for him to think of me as a superhero is fucking nuts. I've never actually thought about that.
Right.
It's crazy. I have to do better. That's that motivation.
That's awesome. Right.
But like to me, it was like, it's us against the world. I don't need shit else. I don't need anybody else. Like, we can conquer anything together. But the actions were always a little bit different, because my dad growing up, and like we were talking about in one of the other podcasts, we don't know. Like, my dad grew up in a different time, and I only know so much about how he grew up. But parts of what I do know is that things were very different, and he was very, like, strict, and or he lived a very strict life. So at a certain point, he kind of had to, or he got the chance to kind of like let loose, and that was when I was around, and it was just time to party, and that was pretty much for a while. So even though
did he
would
work a lot? I mean, I think you did mention he worked.
Yeah,
a lot,
he would
right?
work, and he worked night shift, and he was really big on waking up early and going to work. And I think the time that he did was sometimes that I asked, like, hey, if you go to work in the morning, I go to school in the morning, and then we can hang out in the afternoon, and I don't think that lasted very long. But over time, as I got older, like, I would see, well, actually not as I got older. Once I was actually in my 30s, and you start having kids of your own, and you start seeing, like, hold up. I mean, when you say this is the most important thing and the actions don't add up, you can kind of, you see what really is,
Right. So it took you until you were 30 to
somewhere probably
realize
after 30.
And then your mom, I mean, the actions.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, so like when I was also growing up, it wasn't like I was talked bad to about my mom, because I would spend time with my mom. But I don't think nobody really ever said anything on my dad's side. And that's where I spent the majority of my time. You know, and I used to love spending time with my mom. But then once I got a little bit older and I ended up moving with my mom, you know, you could just, that's where you really start to see the difference, like the effort. Like if you really care, if you say like you're the most important thing in the world to me, well, if you never get a call, if you don't show any effort, how can that be? You know what I mean? But then with my mom, it's like you see all the effort, like the love, the genuine love that, you know, she has for us. It's just different.
See, and so Michaela was 18 months when you and I got together. 2 years old. Yeah. No, she was a little over 2, I think.
Yeah, she was about 2.
I don't know. She was little. 2. And, you know, just going through years and years, you know, with the custody battle and fighting for her love, really. That's how it always felt. It felt like we were constantly trying to prove who we are to her and our love for her. And, you know, everything that was said was the opposite of who we are and what we were about.
And not only that, but because the justice system is the way it is, like it was almost like we had to protect ourselves. You know what I mean? Because who knew what was going to happen when she went back, if she talked to her mom and her mom started something new. You know, it was always like we were worried about something.
There's a lot that we're not speaking about, that we probably won't speak about until she's of age.
Yeah.
You know, but the most important, what I can tell you is if you are co-parenting and you're in a situation, you're listening to this and you're like, oh my God, I know exactly what you guys are talking about because I'm going through that right now. The best advice that we can give you is when your kid does come around, to just lead by example. And that's all we did. We did not change when she was here. She felt the love. She saw the kind of parents we are with Audrey and Joey. She felt so much of the love that it made her feel like an outsider just because she was not used to that affection. Like, we are a very affectionate family. And if you're not used to the affection, it's kind of weird, right?
Maybe.
Getting hugs and kisses when you're not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, you and I being together for 13 years, she sees the stability. We've been in one home for many years. Now we have a second home, and we've been in this home already for 5 years. She sees that the kids have been going to the same school for quite some time, and that there's a lot of stability and security, you know, and, you know, just us pouring our love into her, the time that we do have. And now that she is finally opening her heart, that's what it is. She finally is breaking down those barriers, like the walls and the distrust and just everything. Well, and she's taking it in and looking with her own lens, right?
I think she's seeing things sooner than I saw them, because I went through a very similar path that she's going through, but I think she's starting to see things a little bit sooner than I did, because like I said, I started recognizing things when I was like 30, after I had my own kids, you know? And there was something that recently happened that I want to get into. But before we do that, make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. Share it with the people that you know. When you go there, you'll be able to see all of our social media links, and you can follow our social media there. You can watch the podcast there. You can listen to it there. And also, when you go to our website, the first thing that's going to pop up is our resource link.
Yes.
Or our resource list. And if you enter your name and your email, that will give you the ability to download the resource list. And what that is, it's a collection of podcasts, books, videos, audios, just different things that have helped us change our mindset when it comes to parenting, marriage, finances, just kind of everything that kind of guides us in life. There's a lot of really good stuff in there, and you guys can pick that up for free at oppositesattractpodcast.com. We're also affiliates with Amazon. We have an Amazon affiliate link. When you go to our website and you click the support the show tab, that'll take you to our Amazon link. Anything that you purchase through that link doesn't cost you anything extra, but it'll help out the show. And you can also search Opposites Attract Podcast on Amazon, and you'll find our t-shirts, pop sockets, phone cases, all that stuff. And when you click on the support the show tab, you'll also see a link to Trust Inc. And Trust Inc. is?
We are a nationwide mobile notary agency and signing agency. So if you're in the process of purchasing, refinancing, or selling your home, you can request Trust Inc. to be your signing agency.
And you can go to Trust Inc. directly by going to trustinkusa.com. We're also affiliates with Pinwheel, which is a smartphone for kids. It's the best smartphone available out there for kids, and it has GPS tracking. You can you have a call log. You can see all the phone calls that the phone gets through on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you download the parent app, and you can see everything on your phone that's happening on the kid's phone. And there's also App Store that has all kinds of apps that are productive for the kids to use. It's not something that's going to drain their attention. That's just going to, keep them addicted to the phone, like Facebook, Instagram, all the social media stuff, all the games that have you wanting to level up. I was talking to Joey about that yesterday. He was playing a game, this little monkey bubble shooter game. And he was telling me, he's like, this is the next one I'm going to get. And he shows me, and it's got like the little level bar. Mm-hmm. And I told Joey, I was like, they're manipulating you, right? I was like, they're controlling you right now. Like, that's something that I've talked to the kids about, is just understanding when you're being controlled.
Yes, being aware. Mm-hmm.
Like I told him, I was like, the reason that you want to get that little suit or whatever it is, and you got a little progress bar, is because they made this game that way.
Yes.
So that just like
Michaela was sharing with us about how Snapchat has a very similar.
I think it's called a streak.
Yes.
It's a streak.
Yes.
So you send messages back and forth to friends. I don't know if it's pictures or whatever, but you can keep your streak going. And apparently it's like a popularity thing or whatever to keep the streak going. And I was just talking to her. I'm like, don't you realize that you're doing exactly what they want you to do?
Right.
That's exactly why they started streaks, is so that you can be addicted to your phone sending streaks.
Yep.
So with something like Pinwheel, they're not going to have access to all that stuff, because that's what just melts their brain. And if you guys would like 10% off of a Pinwheel phone and you want to know more, go to pinwheel.com and use promo code OAPTEN, all together, all in caps, on pinwheel.com. And we're also... we have Buy Me a Coffee.
Yes. I was going to say it, but you already got
Go
on
for
it.
it,
So
babe.
I'm like, ooh, you already said it. If you would like to buy us a coffee or Miguel a drink, a beer or two or three. No.
My mouth was getting dry during the read, the ad.
You can go to Buy Me a Coffee.
Yep. And you can go to buymeacoffee.com/oppositepod.
There you go.
There it is.
Woo. I'm so glad you do the ads.
So what were we talking about?
I wanted to, with, Michaela and me being the stepmom, you guys had some cool moments. Yeah. So you went out of town, and her and I had Monday through Wednesday together.
Yeah.
And so her and I went to the movies. We watched a movie together. We cuddled together because we went to the Harkins, and it has the reclining chairs, and so we spent some time together. And I remember, after church, on the drive up there. So Audrey and I have this habit of, when she sits in the front seat, like, we will hold hands.
Yeah.
And Michaela was sitting in the front, and me being a stepmom, and it's not challenging, but it's like, I don't want to overstep my boundaries, and just not sure how she's going to receive, the attention, the affection, and all of that, because I know that that's not something she's really used to,
or used to from us.
Yes. So, we're sitting in the front seat, she's with me, and we're singing, and I just reached over and I grabbed her hand. And, for a moment, like, she felt like she grabbed my hand and she was holding my hand tight. But it was just like getting used to that, just getting, just being like, okay with that, with her. And
that's cool.
And now, and then the following day, like, we were together and she grabbed my hand. We were at the mall, and, on the way up there, and she grabbed my hand, and it's just, we laid together and hugged and snuggled. And,
that's cool.
When I put my arms around her, like, she grabbed my hand, and it just feels so good to finally, like, just finally be able to break through that shell.
Yeah.
That hard shell.
Yeah. I mean, it's taken so long. It's been like, so I was telling you, like, this past week I had to go away for work.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it's funny because it was a tough work trip, because it's almost like it was tough because it was so nice. And it's like, I didn't want to show you how nice it was out there but I wanted you guys to be there. Like, I think you could tell, right? Like, it was like I was hanging out and I'm like, man, I really wish you guys were there.
I could tell. But the reason why I'm laughing is because on the previous podcast,
I did make a clip about going on.
Yes, exactly.
On work
and
trips.
you're talking about work trips, and I'm like, when Miguel's going on vacation, and then you jumped at me like, it's not vacation.
Hey, listen,
it is work. And I'm like, oh yeah, let's look at the pictures you just sent me. You tell me this is work. You got no kids. You're not having to cook and clean and do homework. You're on vacation.
It's not always like that. This one was an exception. It's not always like that, dude. I've had some pretty fucking sketchy hotels. Yeah. But anyway, so when I was on my trip, so I'm just sitting there like after work or after flying in, and I have a little bit of time, so I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to eat. So I just sit down and I was like, you know what? I promised that I was going to send some people pictures. And I start going through the pictures that we had taken on the last trip. And man, like, I get to this one picture of me and the girls. And I just see like Audrey smiling, and I see Michaela smiling. And just in that moment, like, I just fucking broke down, because I just thought to myself, like, it's been 14 years, pretty much.
15. She
15,
started coming
14,
around.
15 years, because she was like 1, 2 when we started the whole court process and all that. And it's been an uphill battle the entire 14 years, 15 years up until now, and I was just like, fucking finally, and
how does it like get into your feelings? Like, how does it feel to have, because she's your firstborn, for her to, like, the day when she jumped on you like a monkey.
Yeah. Oh man. The one of the things that I've thought about, that one thing about me is, like, I see things the way they are. Like, it is what it is. Like, I can't go back and change what already happened. I can't change the way people are because of the things that happen. Like, we just got to work with what we got and figure it out from here, But there's times that, like, I think about like when she was first born, and it wasn't any different. Like, I was still a very loving, affectionate person. So I would hold her. And, like, you remember me with the kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm the same guy. But at a certain point, we split, and I couldn't continue that.
You and her.
Yeah, me and
mom.
my ex.
Yes.
Yeah, we split, and I couldn't continue that. And then just, I would think about, like, the things that she probably starts thinking about me and about us, over the years, and how different that is to how we act, like you were saying, like, to what we actually are. And that kind of bothered me, but, I'm just grateful that it's happening now.
Yeah, like, you gotta pick up the ball now and not really look at the years that were lost because of the, manipulation and the false.
Yeah, all the issues, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But, I mean, I love it. I'll take it. If 14 years or whatever, I wish it was sooner, but.
Yeah, and I sent her a voice message today, and, I just told her, I'm like, hey, I was just thinking about you and just wanted to let you know that I love you and that, that I miss you. And it was great having that quality time with you.
Yeah.
And she sent me a message, and she's like, I love you and I really miss you guys, and I can't wait to see you guys for the summer. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, I'm so grateful that the time came, because honestly, you and I were like, because I didn't think she wanted to come visit us anymore. And she's at that age where we can't force her, right? We can't go to the court and force her mom to abide by the order. It's like, we can't force her to love us. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Because that's how we felt. Like, we were forcing her. So we're like, and we told her, when she was 14, we're like, listen, we're not, going to force you to come during the summer. If you want to come, you're welcome to come. And, and that was it. And then she started to want to come more often. And
then And we're like, yeah, I mean,
let's do it.
And that's the thing is we've talked about, you know, relationships that we've had that sometimes it's almost like they're one-sided for a while, but it doesn't have to be that way. Like if these people or whoever it is would just turn around and come back and like, hey, not even like an I'm sorry or whatever, but it's like, can we move forward? Can we move past this? Yeah, we're down. Like at any moment, you know, it's not like we're going to hold a grudge. Like, no, you know, get out of here. It's done between us. We can never be good again. No, we're never. Are you
talking about the kid?
I'm just talking about hard relationships that we have sometimes with, you know, with different people.
Whether it's family, whether it's friends,
or whatever.
Whether it's.
What I'm just saying is like, you know, with Michaela in the past, like it was almost like she would come to visit, but it was like we had our guard up.
Yeah. Well, there was always a battle.
It was a battle.
It was always a battle.
But when it turned into her wanting to come and be with us, it was completely different. You know what I mean? Like everything changed. And I talk about like we have other relationships with other people sometimes that can be difficult. But if it was just like, hey, let's just move past all this stuff. And
well, the thing of it too is that like she follows us on social media, and I think that, listen, the proof is in the pudding, right? You know, a tree that's planted well bears good fruit.
Yeah.
And I think that with her just being, you know, aware and connecting the dots and seeing how you are with Joey and with Audrey and how you and I are together, you know, it's like you can't fake that.
Yeah.
You know, you can't fake that. And I think that she was looking through a clear lens and started to see the truth.
Yeah.
And the things that she was being fed were false. You understand? And when her walls started to come down and she started to open up, you know, to open her heart and to see things for what they really are, that's when everything changed.
Yeah.
And I think that it's so important because like you said, it's like there's going to be a point in time where the truth is going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Your actions, everything.
Yeah.
And that's when they will come around. So that's why I was sharing earlier, you know, if you are someone who's going through this, don't give up. Just continue to push through and know that one day they're going to come around.
Yeah. And one thing that has really served us since the beginning and to this day is not talking bad about the other person. We've talked about this before.
Right.
You know, I can't say the same thing happened on the other side, you know, in favor of us. But I think it does kind of show the character.
That's right.
You know, and it's just, I mean, I've mentioned it here before. Like, it's just not something that I like to do. But it always, when it comes to something that's that sensitive, when you're talking about the parent of, you know, the other parent.
Yes.
It never seemed like a good thing to do, you know? And
that may be what opened her to look close, you know, to take a closer look too. Yeah. Like this doesn't add up to his actions with Audrey, with my little brother and my sister and his wife.
Well, I think because it has to be kind of like, well, if they're saying all these things, but I'm seeing all of this stuff and this and where I live is supposed to be like this, but it's not, then maybe it's all kind of backwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and confusion and everything. These poor kids, this is the thing. It's like they're so young. Their brain's developing. They have so many people that are pouring into them, whether it's good, whether it's bad.
Yeah.
You know, and they will get to a point where they're curious and they start to pay closer attention to what's actually happening.
Or they start to push back a little bit to test boundaries or try to figure out how things actually are. Right. You know? And then they start to figure things out.
Yeah.
It's the I was reading that in a book. It's the Wizard of Oz, when you see behind the curtain When you find out that your parents aren't real or not real. When you find out that your parents aren't perfect. You know, and it's like, oh, shit. Like you kind of get to see.
Right, because everything that mommy and daddy used to say when I was 5 was the truth.
Guess what? My kids do not think that all adults are smart because I tell them that there's a lot of dumbasses out there. You know, because back in the day, it's like, oh, adults, you know, when an adult tells you something, you need to listen. I'm like, you might want to be careful because there's a lot of fucking idiots out there.
That's funny.
But you know what's something that recently I've been kind of thinking about, and it's been happening lately. It happened in the hotel, but just that feeling of like looking at where we're at, because there's something about us, like we're always looking at progression and like where we're trying to go, what we're trying to do next. You know, like the podcast we're doing the podcast thing, but obviously there's goals. There's the next thing. And, you know, motivation, no motivation. I've been talking about how like I've been in a funk in the last few months or for a while now, but
that funk has to do with your health.
Even from it, I think it affects everything. You know what I mean? Because when I was on it, I was on everything, not just one thing. Right. It was everything. Like I wasn't making excuses for shit. I was on it, you know, but there, you know, like we always have this progression mindset. Like we want to get better. We want the next thing. But there was I don't know what I was doing. I was looking at work, and I just kind of took a second and I was looking at what I was doing or like a review that I had or something like that. And I was like, holy shit, like look at like where I've got to in the last 10 years or whatever that I've been working on my career. I was like, this is fucking insane. I went from like working on helicopters, like not having experience. They would teach me everything because when I first started, even I had experience working on aircraft, but they had hired me to do something that I had never done before. So I was like brand new day one. You don't know shit.
Right.
So I had to start learning those skills. And then little by little, I went to someplace else and learned some more stuff, went someplace else, learned some more stuff. And, you know, it's not like I'm on top of a mountain or anything like that, but I've done pretty well for myself. But then at the same time, I was thinking, man, like we're always thinking about, and we talk about on here, the goal is to stop working. The goal is to stop working.
Why?
Because I want to work for us. I want to change things for our family.
Because
which
you
is a great goal.
Yes.
Yes.
Because
I want to be able to live life.
You want it to be us. If we want to travel the world and do whatever we want to do. Yeah. Yes.
And that's fine. You know, like that's great. But at the same time, in that moment when I thought about it, I was like, holy shit. Like I've worked so hard to get to where I am now, like going to school, doing all these extra things and learning all this stuff and going through these fucking headaches and all this stuff just to fucking bounce. Just to drop it all and just take off. I'm like, that's fucking nuts. Isn't that crazy?
It is.
Not that it's wrong. But in that moment, I was like, I should appreciate where I'm at.
That's right.
Because it took so much to get to this point. Right.
You've done amazing. And I've told you that. Like, I'm so proud of the man you are today because I've been there to witness you and just the things that you did. You were always looking for the next thing, how to grow, how to become better, you know, and there's not, you know, too many individuals that take that step. I mean, you said that you have individuals that even trained you at one point and they're still doing the same thing that they were doing when they were training you. And now you are working in the corporate office, you know, for the company that you work at today. I was listening to this book called The Soul of Money.
Yeah.
And The Soul of Money, it's so good. I think I'm on chapter 4, but she was talking about, and you were talking about the other day, like living in a state of gratitude. You and I were talking about this yesterday during dinner, when we were both kind of just sitting back and we were watching the kids. We were listening to country music.
Yes, I want to add to this.
And Audrey's there hugging Jane, and she's singing her little heart out. And I look at she's on the floor, and then I look up and I see Joey, this beautiful little 10-year-old, playing with his transformer. And then I look to my left and I see my husband. I don't know. I think you're washing dishes. I got a crazy look in my eye. No. And here I am, and I'm looking around and I'm thinking to myself, man, I am just in a place where everything is just so great in my life. Like I am like just standing there in gratitude and just taking in the moment. Yeah. And I start to get all choked up. And Audrey looks up and she sees me and she asked me a question, but she looked at me and she turned her little head like, are you okay? And I turned away from her and I started sauteing the mushrooms because I didn't want her to see that I was getting all mushy at that point. But when we were sitting at the table, I did bring it up and she's like, I thought I saw you about to tear up, she said.
That's funny.
But it's like, listen, if we stayed where we are at today, with the same income, with the same life, just everything
stays the same,
I would be so grateful.
Yeah.
I would, and that's the thing, is being grateful for where you are today, no matter where you are, because more money is not going to make you happier. It's just going to give you more resources to do the thing that you want to do. But if you're looking for that happiness, for money to create happiness, or if you're looking for happiness, joy, and love outside of you, you're missing the point.
Yeah.
You really are, because we all have what it takes if we just dial into a deeper self, right? If we start looking within and clearing up all the damn junk that we shove so deep down because we don't want to heal from that junk. We don't want to face that junk, all the shit that we've been through, the past traumas, the childhood traumas, the past relationship traumas, everything that eats us up. And it's like, when you have issues, when you can't sit in silence and these thoughts start creeping in, and you're starting to feel unsettled. Instead of running and numbing, you need to sit with a journal and write down what you're feeling and what your thoughts are, because those are clues. Those are clues of things that you need to heal from in order to break free and in order to live that happy, joyful, loving life. And once you clear up all the shit, if you're looking for that, someone to live your life with, they will come. The right person will come.
That reminds me of something that I was talking to Michaela about. And this goes not just for, kids, teenagers, but it's for everybody. Because like we were talking about before, the social media people are geniuses. Mm-hmm. The people that work at all these companies are geniuses. They know exactly what to do and what to show you to keep your attention, to keep you numb, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And I was telling Michaela, I'm like, if as soon as you wake up, or if every moment of your day is consumed by something keeping your attention, there may be a reason why you keep running to these things. Why whenever you have a spare moment, it's like, let me see what's happening on Snapchat. Let me see what's happening on Instagram. Let me see what's happening on YouTube. Let me see if I got any emails. Let me see, whatever. Because you don't have to sit and think. Like you just watch. You just fill your head. Yeah. Fill your head with whatever's out there. You don't have to sit there and process the stuff that's going around inside your own head.
Right.
And that may be a sign that you probably do need to do that.
Right. And that's why when our kids say, I'm bored, I'm like, good.
Yeah.
Like, good.
Yep.
I want them to be able to sit in silence and to think about their thoughts and be aware of their thoughts and take control of their thoughts, because once they can take control of their thoughts, then they can handle the emotions that come along with those thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, like they can be able to control them and switch those thoughts, but not just switch them, but, you know, there's always a question behind a thought. Like, why am I thinking this? Even if it's a negative thought, right? Like, you know, I was just going to give an old example. Like when you used to travel at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, why hasn't he called me? It's 9:00. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like
and
that thought is making me feel ill. It's not bringing joy. I'm not like, oh, well, you know, it's like a negative thought.
And where's that thought coming from?
Right. So that thought I had to self-process. And those thoughts, they linked back to the abandonment issues from my father.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like you never gave me any reason to distrust you. Therefore, this thought has nothing to do with you. But I had to think. I had to sit in silence. I had to process that. I had to think about why I was starting to think this and feel the way I was feeling. Yeah. And if I didn't take the time to do that, you and I would still be going through that same damn issue.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
Yeah.
And with that, thank you guys for being with us. Make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com, share it with your friends and the people that you know. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. And thank you for watching Opposites Attract Podcast,
where we get better
together.
Bye.
Bye.